Okay, so this is part four of the Tesla backtesting. The next one we are going to test is June 6th at 10:39. Note that this is a Friday, so there's not a lot of time left. And note if he's doing a zero DTE or uh, a week out. 10:39, so we'll go to the 10:35. Okay. So this is looking okay. It gapped up. We did not notice he did not take the trade there, but he's starting to take the trade here. So I'm guessing SPX and QQQ are lined up at this point. So this is the 300 call, and this is near 300. Yeah, so right when SPX starts to cross, then he takes the action. If you did it before, it's probably not as strong, and you could get caught. QQQ is not in the ideal position. Ideally, we'd like to have it above, but we can't always have the optimal setup, right? So those are the challenging setups where it's like, well, it has two out of the three. We've been waiting for days. Should we take this or not? And through backtesting, you'll see, do these scenarios actually play out well or not? Uh, Not the premium setup, but still pretty good. The two things it has going against itself is Tesla is actually under 300, which is a hard level, and then QQQ is under its level. But it does have going for itself that SPX is above the 6,000, which is a very hard level to get above, and it's kind of doing a break and retest here. So I believe the trade will work out, and this is also a lotto. Specify that. So if we know that there's not a crazy trend for the upside on Tesla, we'll know that we probably have to take our profit soon. We have to almost like see this ahead before it happens. And if the trend is up, we might have more patience for it to go up. So let's see. I'm just going to check my logs here and see if he made some profit here. So he played a lotto and he said, I'm just playing with profits here. So if it went to zero, he'd be okay with that. So 1047 right here. That's take profit one, and then take profit two is 1056. So in some scenarios, he's got to take the profit really quick. In other scenarios, he is letting it play out or he's rolling. Here, he doesn't roll, I don't think. Actually, he might roll. I'm not sure. So I think there might be a distinction between like when you roll and when you don't roll. Um, or maybe he rolls every time. So I have to see more of those scenarios to see what's actually going on and then have a question when it's going on. Pay attention to detail. Like, for instance, why did he not take the trade here and why did he take the trade here? Because SBX set up better at this point. And then why did he still take it if QQQ wasn't properly set up, right? With QQQ not in the right spot, that gives us some indication there's less likely to be continuation. So all these little attention to detail things. So we're gonna mark this in our sheet. So I just have another spreadsheet here where I'm marking out all the times in trade and then just notes so I can learn. The attention to details is the most important part, I believe, uh, because you might see a simple setup but not understand the full reasoning. Our goal is to understand the full reasoning behind this. So 1056 is what he got it. So he took two profit takes. The first one was 8 minutes. The second was 17 minutes. And then he also rolled. So he closed that one out, and then the roll for the 305 happened at 10:55. So let's see where that is on the chart. Yeah, so he rolled here as well. The 305 roll. So this is a separate trade that he initiated while he was selling out take profit 2 to see if it would continue. The 305, and then he sold it at 10:59, which is basically as quick as he could. Um, so you'd have to be really quick or have an auto. I think there's an auto sell there, right? 305, and then he takes one at 11:02. So he takes it here. You could have, I think you could have these as auto sells. And then I think he loses the last one. Yeah, it looks like he loses the last one. So the last quarter, he does not. And there's no alert on that one. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes he's alerting it, sometimes he's not. So the 305 at 10:59 he gets out. Which is almost instantly. And then 11:02. And then he stomps out somewhere. So I guess he stops out here. My guess. There's no alert on it. Okay, and then he rolls again. The 310 roll happens at 10:22. No, 11, 11:02, 11:01. He buys the 310. 310. roll up. And then that one, he does not make money on that one, so that one ends that. So he lost the last quarter of the 305, and then he lost the full 310. And that is, yeah, so that basically the end of the Friday, he loses those last two. And then on the ninth, he restarts the shenanigans again. And he does it at 341. But no, he crosses here and he doesn't buy. So let's look at what's happening with SPX at that point. See, he could have bought there. Why didn't he buy there? Like that, I guess QQQ is not in a good spot. I wonder why he didn't buy in that spot. We have to pay attention as well because we'll see the opportunity and we'll try to take it ourselves, and then it won't work out and we won't know. Because right now we're watching what's working, but we're not fully paying attention to when the same opportunity presents itself and he still doesn't take it. So 340. So QQQ is defending this level, which I don't like as, and SPX is on the down as well. $341, 344. So let's say it here. It's before that, but and another 344. So he takes, and then he's all out. Yeah, so there's a duplicate entry there, and then he's all out at 9:30 the next day. I believe there's some typos here. Yeah, there's missing a record. I'm gonna add a record here. 1022. There's actually another purchase here. So 1022. Yeah, so that made sense. I thought there should have been a trade there. So there was a trade there. The 310. 336. I don't know if these are profitable bets. Unless the premium just went up. Yeah, there's something confusing with the records here. I'm gonna have to skip these. Okay, so let's move on. I think there was a 310 bet there, but all the records are messed up. So the 320 happened at 341. And this is a roll from the 310, but we don't know when the 310 actually happened. 320. So 11:09 the next day. Oh, this is the QQQ. We have to go back to the. Okay, now this is making more sense. So 320, 1109. Yeah, that makes more sense. 1109, 1121. Yeah, and then all out at 322. 322. Okay, so that makes sense. And let's go back to the 310. We're trying to make a sense of that, but I guess we were on the cues. So 10, 1020. This is for the 310. Okay, 310 we buy it at 1022. Sorry, 310, and then it says 336. Yeah, that makes sense. First profit take. And then we take a quarter at the same time. And then we're all out at 9:30 the next day, which makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. And then we wait for it to settle. Oh, so then we bought a trailer. We bought a roll up, and then so here's the first entry point. We take profit there, and we bought a roll right after. We take our profit again, and the profit for 320 comes later in the day towards 321. So we're assuming there's momentum, and we'll have to fill in this record. Six. Actually, the ninth. On the ninth at 336. So that actually took 5 hours for the 310 to play out. And then we took a quarter. And then we took all out the next day at 11:40. Okay, so that's looking good. And then we have a 330. Sorry if that was confusing, but basically this was the original buy. The 320 was the roll, and now we are going to have a couple more rolls here. So on the 10th, there's a roll at 311.23, which is the same as this. 330 roll. And that one, he gets out the next morning here at 9. So that's the 330. So he gets all out there, and it's not reported properly. He gets all out there at on the 11th at 9:30. And that was not properly reported. Then the next week, so then we're on to June 18th. So the second entry for the 330, we take the first profit at, let's see what, so Tesla is above 321 here. Let's see what SPX is doing. SPX is actually down, but it's crossed 6,000, which is a big level, and QQQ. The question I have is, why did he enter so late? Why couldn't he have entered here? This seems like a better entry point, unless he was distracted. And then, isn't this a little too late to be entering? It looks like he was busy with AVGO at that time. It just seems like this is a little late. Like we could have gone a little earlier, especially with the position SPX and QQQ. But I guess he got on eventually, and then let's see how it plays out. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we're taking profit here, but let's check out. So he takes half at 11.55. Basically at the peak here. And then he goes all out at 12:30. So he hits the peak, and then he sees that is not working out here. Yeah. So that is a stop out. He thinks it's going to keep going up. He possibly could have exited here, but hindsight is 2020. Okay, so let's put that in our records. So he's in that trade for 46 minutes, and then he got a little greedy, maybe, and he had to stop out. So you got to be watching to see when you have to get out. Because if you don't, he says we could enter the same trade and have two completely different results. And this is kind of what I'm seeing. The the exits are not really covered in any of the starter videos. I think the only way to actually learn is to backtest. But yeah, so the next one is June 23rd. And even with the backtesting, you still have to remember it in real time and be able to execute. June 23rd, 9:52. So SPX is kind of middle range. QQQ is kind of in middle range. Tesla is ripping. So we're going off the strength of Tesla. Potentially could have entered 9:45, but I guess we were waiting for SPX and QQ to align. If this doesn't work out, I would blame SPX and QQQ. Yeah, so SPX is going to hit a hard level at 6,000. So maybe we're just going to take until it gets to that level. And maybe SPX and QQQ come into play when we're taking our profit exits and doing our stop outs as well. It just rips through. I'm pretty sure he's taking profit there. Let's see how it plays out a little more. Okay, and then SPX, it does take 6,000 and stop. So if we're watching SPX at the same time, we're probably, it's giving us indication to exit. At 3:45. So he said, let's see if Tesla can actually hold up here. So he sold at 10:02. So 334, we took it through there. Potentially got to take it through here. Maybe 334 was a better key level. We have to know those intricacies, and maybe it was just random. So 345, he took some quick profit there, and then he takes a half at 1019. A quarter, I mean. then he takes another quarter. I cannot find that record though. Yeah, we lost that record. My guess is he could take it here. So let's put those records in there. Ten oh two. Ten nineteen. Okay, so we're missing the last record for TP3, but it's probably obvious that he was around here. And then there's a roll on the 360 as well. So the 360 roll happens at 1019, which is the same here. Try that another line. So 360 roll. And I think the alerts got messed up there for a bit. Yeah, it's pretty sure it's profitable, but we lost the records. So we're seeing patterns of the buying and the selling and the stopping out and the rolling. We also have to pay attention to when we think there's a good setup and they actually don't take a trade. That's the part we're missing because it's not bringing our attention to it. So we'll probably go back again and see if we can find good setups for Tesla and say, okay, why didn't he take a purchase here? And then we can categorize those as the scenarios. Because there might be setups where Tesla's crossing a key level, but SPX and QQQ are in bad situations, and then he just decides not to take it. But we'll see that in our real trading, and we might take that trade, which would not be an optimal trade. So the next one is July 8th at 10:32. Okay, so we're crossing 300. This looks pretty obvious. And he takes the 305 call. Let's look at SPX. Kind of in the middle of nowhere, but above bouncing off 620, which is a big key low. And then QQQ bouncing off 550. So I guess if these are bouncing, it's okay. I don't like if the underlying is bouncing, but we'll investigate more. I like that this is crossing and QQQ and SPX are bouncing, so there's some momentum towards the upside. Let's see how it plays out. So not much happening so far. Let's see if the next day brings better. So I noticed he usually takes profit within the first 2 days. Let's see if this actually works out. It looks like it still worked out. Okay, so I'm looking why there wasn't a lot of Tesla trades between June 23rd and July 8th. He was really on coin and Nvidia, so he was focusing there. So I guess the momentum shifted there. Okay, so we have July. He took a lotto here. The first sell is 1042 right here. TP1. And the second is 1056. This might be a stop out, potentially a stop out. Yeah, that's pretty much a stop out, that one. Okay, so let's put those records in. So I want to stop and investigate. He knew to stop out there and not let it go, but there's probably on the higher time frame, it's showing us that there's probably not going to be a lot of continuation. So let's look at the higher time frame, the daily. Yeah, let's remove this because it's hard to see. So this is the daily chart. We had it down. We started basing. We started trying to come up, and now we're kind of chopping around. So these are actually difficult conditions to trade in, and I'm assuming SPX is going to be similar. Well, SPX actually looks better. It's on the up, and then QQQ is on the up. But if you look at the Tesla daily chart, it looks very tough. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Those are not, and then the tight ranges, it's very hard to, it looks like it's very hard to trade as opposed to this would be easier to trade to the downside, or this would be easier to trade to the upside. So we have to recognize when we're in these chop zones and then either sit out or uh, our skill has to be really good. But it's probably smarter just to sit out and observe the price action. Yeah, so we could have predicted based on the daily chart that it would be tough to trade. So I think we always want to look at the higher time frame on the underlying, the QQQ and SPX. So moving on, July July 11th. So again, we're still in that chop zone, so do not expect a lot of continuation here. And if we're watching the market every day, we should be able to fall in tune and know what to expect. Yes, it could take you years, or you could just do a ton of back testing and then really pay attention, and you'll start. I think you'll start to see patterns. Every time I do back testing, I learn something, and then the more I pay attention, the more I pick up. Okay, so we have the 310 Tesla. It's kind of in a weird spot. It's above 300, but let's see where SPX is sitting. So SPX is in a better spot. QQQ is in the middle range. I don't particularly like this entry point, but if he's taking it as a lotto, it could work. I think it's a pretty risky bet. and unlikely to have continuation given the higher time frame is not that strong either. But let's see how it plays out. That's Monday, so that probably doesn't count. He might have been able to take profit here. Let's see if it actually led to anything. So the 310. He gets out at 321 half position, and then he gets out at 337. So right at the end, kind of gets lucky. Doesn't make that much. Probably not worth the bet there. The risk to reward expected value is probably not there long term. Like if you take that trade 10,000 times, I don't think you're making money. Given the situation, it was very speculative. So not all the trades he takes are equivalent. So we're gonna put that in. So it took him 5 hours. So I think he got lucky at the end of day push there to be able to get both out. There was a lot of capital. Well, not a lot. There was capital at risk that didn't need to be at risk there. I didn't like the trade. And then he didn't. You don't have to take the. Sometimes I was thinking about taking the next week out, but it's unnecessary because you can just get in the next week. So there's no point in taking that trade. Okay, so my notes is he's lucky to get out. He probably shouldn't have taken that trade in the first place. So the next one is July 18th at 9:53. Okay, so he's working towards 328. I would prefer if he was above the 328, but there's a gap up and it looks like there's some momentum. The question is, why didn't he take this as well? We'll investigate that. Maybe he's waiting for the market to settle, but I might be pulled into taking that trade as well. Yeah, so I might have been pulled into taking it at the 9:30 mark, but let's see why he takes it. We're gonna have to draw some levels for SPX. We'll come back to that. So I don't love the position of QQQ. I don't love the position of Tesla, but SPX is above this 3,000 level, and I think we're going off that because it's a really strong level to get over, and I've seen that pattern before. So let's just draw the rest of the levels. So this is July. $6,300, and then 6,334 is a proprietary level that we do not know exists yet. So basically, the coach has these proprietary levels that if it doesn't occur yet, then he doesn't know. And this is SPX at all-time highs. So even though Tesla's not in the best position, QQQ's not in the best position. Like Tesla should be above the key level, but SPX is probably going to pull it above, and then QQQ is not in the best position. But because SPX is in such a strong position, it looks like this trade makes sense. Notice the profit is taken within the first 2 days. Very rarely is he holding on to it for 5 days because all the theta decay is probably eating up that weekly contract. This is still considered a lotto, and it's on a Friday, so really a lotto. 958. About here. Okay. Okay. TP1. And then, yeah, it looks like we lost the second runner. So we got the first runner at 958. So 5 minutes after. And then we stopped out and there's a missing alert. At least he didn't let it run to zero because you might have thought that it's eventually going to get there, but he probably stopped out right here, to be honest. Yeah, that's probably what happened. So even though he's taking the options, he's saying size for zero, give the trade time to work out. If I look at the logs, most of the time the action is happening like immediately after he buys. Not always, but quite often. So it's similar to a scalping. It's just you have a little more time than scalping, but it's almost it's just a scalping method with more time. That's what I would classify the style as. Okay, so the next one is August 8th. Again, is a Friday. Is that a coincidence, or does he just is that where the money's being made? 942. Okay, this is looking good. The question is why did he not buy there? So let's look at SPX. Could have bought there. Sometime it looks like he's waiting for the market to settle. QQQ is also ripping. So I wonder why he did not buy earlier. Uh, Let me get some levels here before we go any further. The challenge with these levels is we're near all-time highs. So the only levels we have are kind of guesses. So we're in August 8th. Let's do the same for SPX. So we are, well, I guess there are levels here. So sorry. All right, let's get back to it. Tesla, 942. There we go. The minutes, the minute time frame would give us more precision. So both crossing Tesla right on the line there, so we're not sure if it's crossed yet. I would like it to be above there. And then SPX, it's ripping too, but it's approaching a level. So this is a trickier trade. I guess he has to take it. I would have preferred to have taken it here, but we have to pay attention to, does he wait for the market to show its hand first before we take action? So there's probably profit to be taken there, and we would have to be quick. So let's see what he did. And this is August 8th. August 8th. So he says in the notes, higher risk, this is a lotto, higher risk, Tesla tends to reverse lower. Meaning he's telling you to be ready to stop out. Notice that a lot of these recent Tesla trades, there's no continuation. It's because we're still in this chop zone. So for the beginning trader, it's probably better to just watch and stay out of it. So there's a little profit take there at 954. And then 955, there's another profit take. So he's seems like he's aware that you got to take your profit quick when it's there. And then he took a roll. 330, he's all out at 957 right here. So he knows he has to take the profit quick. And he's still doing a roll with profits. So you almost have to know beforehand when you're going to get out. You essentially have to see the future. You have to see the future, and the backtesting allows you to see the future. And you have to have seen what happens and what kind of market you're in to take. So, yeah, I don't think that's accurate. So he took his TP1 at 12 minutes, TP2 at 13 minutes, and then TP3 at like 15 minutes. And then he rolls at 9:56, which is here. And this is roll with profits because it's risky. It's off a lotto and then it's off a roll. Okay, so first one is 10:01. The second one is he goes all out at 10:41. So 10:01 is here, so it goes up a little bit, takes it out. TP1 and TP2 is at 10:41. So he's got to sit through this drawdown and he takes it out there. And this is a Friday. So the question is, why didn't he stop out here? And why did he wait for it to get back above there? Those are like decisions that are not clear. It feels like a very nuanced point. Like he could sometimes he'll stop out here because he sees it's reversing, and then sometimes he'll wait. So how did he know to wait? Unless it was such a small amount. So we'll have to investigate those little nuances. And maybe we can even ask like why did he do that in that scenario? So he rolls again at 335 at 10:44. So he keeps roll. It seems like he keeps rolling, and then he says, "Okay, this is the last one." And I think he loses that one. Yeah, he loses that one. Next one, August 11th. A lot to learn here. I'm gonna have to go over these again and drill down on some of the key points. August 11th. So we're above this 334. It says above through 338, but my key level is 334. That's a gap up right in the morning there. So we have to figure out why sometimes he does it right in the morning and why sometimes he waits for the market to shake out. So it's right on this line. That looks good as well. And QQQ is kind of in the middle of nowhere again. So it seems like SPX is more powerful than it carries more weight than QQQ. It looks like this trade is likely to work out, but it'd be better if QQQ is in a better spot. But I said that multiple times, and it didn't seem to matter. Okay, so that seems like it will work out. Probably take profit around here. And let's see. Half position at 11:43. And 3:32. So almost, I think he's thought it was going to keep going up. Why didn't he take a profit here? And then why did he let it take go all the way down here? Yeah, that was weird. This was a stop out. So I'd want to understand why he did not take a profit here. Obviously, hindsight, it's easy to say that, but a lot of times he has taken profit here and then rolled it. Is the higher time frame looking pretty good now? Yeah, I guess the higher time frame's looking better. So he might have thought that there is more room for it to run. This was a Monday, so yeah, I guess he could have let it go into the next day. But like I said, I find he takes the profit within the first day or so, just so theta doesn't eat away at him. So let's see. So it took 2 hours. Key level reached. And then there's some misreporting on this. So notice he didn't. Well, he did stop out there, which I thought was a little late, but maybe I was comparing it to a lotto situation. Notice he just stopped out and didn't let it run to the next day. Sometimes he'll let it run to the next day if it's looking good. We would have to learn those little nuances because how do we know it's not going to pop to 350 the next day? Unless he knows that 350 is a hard level. So those decision points are probably not going to, it's going to take a while to develop that type of sixth sense. Some of the some of the stuff is easy to pick up through backtesting, but some of it is we'll notice that he's made a decision that was not that easy to make at that specific decision point. So we'll have to keep learning and digging and seeing if we can pick up more of that. So this is a lotto. It's under. It's a Monday. It's under. It gapped up, but it's under 343. He's using SPX, the break and retest on SPX because it's above 6,400. But Tesla's not in a good spot. But SPX could pull it through, which we've seen that before. QQQ is also in a weird spot. So maybe we would wait for more confirmation candle. If it's on the minute time frame, we might be able to see. But I think we know how this plays out. Let's see if SPX held. SPX actually held. QQQ. Why did that not play out? Oh, it did. Oh no, it's above. So Tesla was just relatively weak there. It's crazy. So we lost that record. I guess it didn't end up playing out. And then we took it again on the 13th. We took it twice. No, one of these records doesn't make any sense. On the 13th, we take it at 9:43. Yeah, this didn't exist. Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Okay, 9:43 above 343. This starts. This is looking better. The other one didn't make any sense. SPX gapping up. We're gonna have to draw. We'll draw levels after there. Gapping up. Okay. So this makes more sense. We need the chart book again. SPX is at all-time high. We wouldn't have these proprietary levels without our coach. So 6400 is an obvious level. 646. These are not obvious levels. I don't know how he figures it out. Almost like he's from the future. Let's do QQQ as well. So those are proprietary levels. So do we think this trade will work out? Tesla in a good spot. SPX, if with the proprietary levels, it's in a good spot or it's at all-time highs. QQQ, it's an okay spot. So I'm learning from the backtesting that QQQ doesn't always need to be in the best spot, but if it is crossing at the same time, it's even better. So let's see how this plays out. The question is, does he take profit quick there, or did he get stopped out? He lost. And then he takes the August 22nd. So if it doesn't play out in the first day, you pretty much, the first or second day, you pretty much lose, I think, from what I've seen. August 19th. August 19th. 10:40. Kind of middle range. SPX, kind of middle range. That bouncing off this level. QQQ in a weird spot. Not looking that strong. Um, I already know this trade didn't work out, but it's tempting to take it because if you're just sitting here and there's no trade on Tesla for a while. So that one did not work out. And then we have the next week, August 25th, which is a Monday, 10:09. A lot of lottos here. Okay. Okay position, not great. I guess it's a red to green move. I haven't seen a lot of red to green moves work, to be honest. 1009. Not the strongest bet. I don't know if I would take this. It's not crossing a level. So he gets out. He's seeing it go down a little. All out at 327. Yeah, so it was on the down, and then he got out and preserved profit. So that's a stop out profit. And then there's a roll. 324 does a roll. He sells it the next. No, the roll is on the next day. He buys a roll on the next day. Huh? SPX is kind of in the middle. QQQ is in the middle with an uptick. But Tesla looking good, so this will probably work out. So it gets about 350. You probably have to take profit here, 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 and then maybe there's a roll somewhere as well. Oh, this one is incorrect. 350 all out. That was at 327. So even though it's above, it still didn't make that much more money. And then the next day, 26. TP1, and all out at 936. That's what I call a profit stop out. So there's a couple scenarios where they take profit. They take profit on like right when the trade happens. Sometimes a couple, well, three times, three ways. Right as the trade happens, when they enter, they exit within 10, 20 minutes. Next one, it maybe takes the rest of the day. And then the next one is the gap up. Very rarely does it go over 2 days because I think Theta Decay eats at it. And he's willing to stop out and then re enter the trade at another time. Only sometimes does he let it go to zero when it's like a lotto. But I think a lot of that, he stops out more than he you would think just watching the YouTube videos. Okay, so there's another roll up on the 27th here at 9:33. 360 roll up. And this one unfortunately does not work out. Okay, so we have two more before we get the big trade. So September 5th. There's a little bit of a typo here. Fix that. Tesla's in a good spot there. Gapping up. SPX gapping up. If there's a gap up, is there always a play there? And it's above the SPX is above the 6500, so I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of continuation here. It's chopping around, and actually, not necessarily a lot of continuation, but it seems like it's, yeah, not necessarily. Necessarily. The question is, does he take a profit here or does he wait for the next day? In hindsight, it's probably better to take profit right away. So 938, 943. Then all out at 952. I'm assuming there's a roll here. Why does he take? Sometimes he'll take a quarter and sometimes he'll go all out. Yeah, he's definitely rolling at that exact time. So 2 minutes later, he rolls. Let's just make it. It's 954. Jeez. Let's just put it here. It doesn't work out. So we're gonna have to study this one. How did he know to take out full profit there? And then when he rolled, I guess he didn't know it was not going to work out. But sometimes he'll take TP1, TP2, TP3, and then roll. I guess the higher time frame is not showing clear direction yet. So for the beginning trade, it's probably better to just sit out to begin with. I understand now why they say certain environments are hard to trade, especially for beginners, and they should just wait for the fat pitch. And the next one we have is exactly that, the fat pitch. So I'll end it here and we'll start a new video with that one.